To please settle down. We'll be starting our program in a few minutes. Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development proudly welcomes each and everyone to the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week with the theme Research and Innovation in Health for Disaster and Emergency. The PNHRS Week celebration has served as a venue for different stakeholders in health research and, development to interact with each other, to contribute research-based solutions to health problems. This is a highly opportune time as the past year we have experienced quite numerous disasters which have claimed many lives but have proven the strength of the Filipinos as a nation.
Indeed, we had a successful day so far. To be among the research enthusiasts in one venue is simply awesome and a privilege. At this juncture, let us all welcome the key personalities in the processional. Vice Chair, Dr. Selma Fernandez. CBCHRD Chairman, Dr. Enrico Druid. Cebu Provincial Board Member, Honorable Peter Calderon. Department of Science and Technology Regional Director, Region 7, Engineer Edelberto Paradela. Department of Health, Region 7 Regional Director, Dr. Jaime Bernada. Executive Director, Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, Dr. Jaime Montoya. University of the Philippines, Manila, Chancellor Manuel Agolco. Commission on Higher Education Central Office, Commissioner Minela Alarcon. Department of Health. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, Secretary Panfilo M. Lacson. United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction Science and Technical Advisory Group, Professor Virginia Morey. Ladies and gentlemen, may we all request you to stand to pay homage to the colors. Please remain standing for the invocation and the singing of the Philippine National Anthem to be led by Symphony.
my soul. The warmth of a love so tender touched my life, and suddenly the light of a million mornings dawned in now that your glory has come shining through, it shines for you, shines for you, shines for you. The light of a million mornings filled my heart. The sound of a million angels sang my song. The warmth of a love so tender touched my heart, and suddenly, oh, the light of a million mornings, light of a million mornings, light of a million mornings, as the morning has dawned, the light of a million mornings has dawned in Bayang magiliw, presang silanganan, alak ng puso, sa ibig mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, buyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisig. Sa dagat at puno, sa simoy at sa langit mo'y lugaw, may bilatang pula at awit sa pagayang minamahal. Ang isang ng watawat, umitagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw ng kailan pang may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walang pagsinta, ay langit sa piling mo. Ang iligaya na pag may makapit, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
You may settle down. Maayong gabi sa kinatong tanan. Maayong gabi, Daisy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, Doc Jet. We will be your hosts for this evening.
And thank you, Symphony. And for everybody's information, the Symphony is comprised of medical students and faculty members of the Cebu Institute of Medicine. It became the venue that showcased the singing talents of doctors. At this point, to give us the opening remarks, let us all welcome the Provincial Board Member and the Chair of the Committee on Health, the Honorable Peter Calderon.
A round of applause, please.
Secretary Panfilo Lacson, Assistant Secretary Irek Tayag, members of the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, led by Executive Director Dr. Jaime Montoya, members of the Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development, led by their chair, Dr. Erico Gruet, the participants of this 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week, ladies and gentlemen, maayong gabi kanatong tahan. On behalf of Governor Hilario P. Davide III and all Cebuanos, I welcome you all to Cebu. I hope you find your stay here comfortable and enjoyable. Congratulations also to all of you. The theme of your conference, which is research and innovation in health for disaster and emergency health management, is indeed timely. As you all know, our province suffered two devastating natural disasters last year, the major earthquake in October and the super typhoon Yolanda in November. Tragic as these events may be, we learn and continue to learn a lot from them with the hope to be better prepared for the future. We learn about our weaknesses and we learn about our strengths. Yet there is much more to learn, much more to improve. On this note, we look forward in learning from you participants in this Research Systems Week. As we strive to build a better Cebu, a better future for the Philippines through economic growth, development programs, education programs, and the like, we must be vigilant and attentive to the health issues and needs of our people. For without a healthy, strong, and vibrant population, growth will not be realized. Again, we look forward to you in helping us serve our people. Thus, this 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week celebration gives us confidence and faith for the future of our fellow Filipinos because of your collaborative efforts and ongoing achievements. We wish you luck and continued success. Thank you, good evening, and welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Calderon, and thank you to the province of Cebu for that heartwarming message. Now to give us the welcome remarks and to introduce to us the different delegates to this convention, let us all welcome the chair of the Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development, Dr. Enrico Gruit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to welcome all of you to the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week celebration with the theme Research and Innovation in Health for Disaster and Emergency Management. Early this year, with the Visayas still reeling from the successive devastation brought about by the Bohol earthquake and Typhoon Yolanda, the Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development was requested to host the 8th PNHRS Week celebration. The consortium decided to focus on disasters and emergencies in their immediate and long-term effects on healthcare delivery, and other aspects of health, and how research has helped or can help the community and the nation cope. Fortunately, the central office approved the theme, and basing from the resource person's passion and the participants' emotional responses to this morning's and this afternoon's sessions, I can say that we did not make a mistake in our choice for the theme. The scientific committee has prepared a full-packed program with multiple parallel sessions to tackle the important aspects of the theme. Tomorrow's plenary sessions are likewise expected to be as interesting and stimulating. As many of you have noticed, all the sessions for this 2.5-day activity are streamed live for those who are not able to join us to attend this affair. Social media are also being used to allow delegates and others to post comments and photos online instantaneously using the Wi-Fi available in the venue. Some sessions utilize video conferencing so that we can still make use of the expertise of resource persons who are not able to join us in person. We have tried to take advantage of technology to bring the message of the PNHRS celebration to as many people as possible. The importance of ICT in relation to our theme will be highlighted in the plenary session tomorrow afternoon. So don't miss that. We really hope that you will stay until the last day on Thursday and be in the biggest gathering of health researchers and lovers of research where you can interact with each other and hopefully forge partnerships for research. And for those who would like to visit some of the many tourist attractions in Central Visayas, there is a tour desk located outside at the foyer. Once again, I welcome all of you and extend a special welcome to our guest presenter, our keynote speaker, and the other dignitaries at the presidential table who will be properly introduced later. Thank you for acceding to our request to grace our opening ceremonies. Let me take this opportunity to thank the different committees for the preparation of this event, the members of which coming from the central office as well as Region 7 that have worked together harmoniously to make this celebration possible. At this point, I'd like to introduce the delegates. So as I call your region or consortium, may I request its members, even though you're seated in different areas of this ballroom, to please rise to be recognized. First in the list, Cordillera Administrative Region Health Research and Development Consortium. Second, Region 1 Health Research and Development Consortium. Cagayan Valley Health Research and Development Consortium. Central Luzon Health Research and Development Consortium. Health Research and Development Consortium, Region 4A. Health Research and Development Consortium. Health Research and Development. Central Eastern Visayas Health Research and Development Consortium. Zamboanga Consortium for Health Research and Development. Northern Mindanao Consortium for Health Research and Development. Regional Health Research and Development Consortium 11. Regional Health Research and Development Consortium Region 12. Caraga Health Research and Development Consortium. And from development for these are the delegates of 17 Persia in the country. So thank you very much for joining us. And once again, welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gruet, for that very and I guess each and every one of us has experienced a kind of this hospitality that the central or that the science are giving to each and every one of you. So at this point, let us now hear some messages from the various stakeholders who are involved in one way or another about research and development. May we call from the Department of Science and Technology the Undersecretary Carol M. Yorobe.
Honorable Secretary Panfilo Lacson, Assistant Secretary Tayag, Commissioner Alarcon, Chancellor Agulto, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Gruet, Professor Murray, Provincial Board Member Calderon, Director Paradela, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Secretary Mario G. Montejo of the Department of Science and Technology regrets that he could not join us today. He has been called to a very important meeting, and I shall read his message. First, we'd like, in behalf of the Department of Science and Technology, we'd like to thank Secretary Panfilo Lacson for gracing this important occasion. The Department of Science and Technology takes pride of our people's resiliency to survive even the deadliest of disasters. But surviving alone is not enough. Lessons must be learned if we are to stand again from the debris. Smarter actions must be made if we are to conquer disasters and calamities. The plight of the survivors and countless loss of human lives during disasters should not only make the headlines of news, but rather as a challenge for us to create innovative solutions and push better policies in order to become better prepared in such times of emergency. This year's theme, as we celebrate the 8th Philippine National Health Research System for Disaster and Emergency Management, mirrors the Department of Science and Technology's goal to utilize what we have learned in catastrophes and deal with future disaster and emergency situations wisely. In this light, I am very grateful that the Department of Science and Technology to the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, or PCHRD, was able to forge a very strong alliance with the Department of Health, the Commission on Higher Education, and the University of the Philippines, Manila, in the Philippine National Health Research System. In times of crisis, it is crucial that every decision we make is guided by science and evidence. PNHRS ensures that from the rubbles of disasters, we learn. And from this learning, we are empowered to move, rebuild, and thrive again. Through PNHRS, we are able to steer the initiatives of the whole health research sectors in the country to respond to the most pressing health concerns of our nation, which include disaster and emergency preparedness. Through the PNHRS, we are able to mobilize the 4 implementing agencies as one unified body in order to achieve our common goals. This year's celebration marks a very special point in the PNHRS's timeline as we enter the first year of the enactment of Republic Act number 10532, which institutionalizes the Philippine National Health Research System. With the PNHRS law in place, we aim to harmonize research resources and ensure that research results are translated into relevant policies and programs. To make this happen, we will fully embrace the Filipino spirit of bayanihan. We will work hand in hand and engage in multi-sectoral collaboration, sharing of information, expertise, and resources. With this,
I
I
congratulate the
congratulate the
men
men
and
and
women
women who have
who
persistently
have
worked
persisted
towards the
towards the
realization
realization
of
of
PNHRS.
PNHRS.
May you
May
all
you all
continue to
continue
uplift the
the
quality of
quality
life
of life
of every
of every
Filipino through
Filipino
healthy
through
and
health
achievement.
research.
Mabuhay at marami pong salamat.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary Euros. Indeed, the
The
dynamism of the
dynamism of
Philippine
Philippine
National Health
National Health
Research
Research
System
System
has made
has made
possible
possible
for
for
learning to
learning to
take
take
place,
place,
movement
movement
rebuilding,
rebuilding,
and
and
living
living
again
again
of
of
the
the
Filipino
Filipino
people
people despite
despite the
the
disasters that
disasters
we
that
have
we have
experienced.
experienced.
At this
At this
juncture, ladies
juncture,
and
ladies and
gentlemen,
gentlemen,
we'll hear
we
a
hear a
message
message
from the
from the
Department of
Department
Health
of Health
Assistant
Assistant
Secretary,
Secretary,
the Dancing
Dancing
Assistant
Assistant
Secretary,
Secretary,
Assistant
Assistant
Secretary
Secretary
Enrique
Enrique
Taya. A
Taya.
round of applause.
The Honorable
The
Secretary from the
Honorable
Department,
Secretary from the Department,
Assistant
Assistant
Secretary
Secretary
Carol
Carol
Ibate,
Ibate,
Commissioner Minela Alarcon, University of the
University of the
Philippines
Philippines
Chancellor
Chancellor
Manuel
Manuel
Abulo, the Executive Director Jaime
Jaime
David
David
Montoya,
Montoya,
Dr.
Dr.
Enrique
Enrique
Gomet,
Gomet,
Professor
Professor
Virginia
Virginia
Murray,
Murray,
our
our
officials from the
officials
province
from
of
the province of
Cebu,
Cebu,
our thinkers
our
and
thinkers
thinkers
and
and
thinkers
dancers
and
tonight.
dancers tonight.
Magandang gabi po sa
Magandang
inyong lahat.
gabi po sa inyo lahat.
It's an honor to deliver this
This
message from
message
our
from our
Secretary of
Secretary
Health,
of Health,
Secretary
Secretary
Enrique.
Enrique. Let me
Let me
begin.
begin.
Dear
Dear
guests,
guests, colleagues,
colleagues,
good evening.
good evening.
Good evening. Okay.
Good evening.
The theme for this year's Philippine National Health Research
The
System Week
theme
is very
for
timely
this
and
year
relevant,
is we
especially after the most recent devastation
in
of Typhoon
primary,
Linda
but
that has befallen some parts of our country again.
relevant,
Storms
especially
and
as
floods are the disasters that cause the most deaths and damages in the country. According to
the
the Philippine
most
Disaster
recent
Report of
devastation.
the Citizens Disaster Response Center, we have consistently been among the top 10 countries with the most number of people affected by natural disasters worldwide for the past 5 years. In 2013, we're second only to China, with more than 26 million individuals affected by disasters, primarily due to Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda and the earthquake in Bohol. Preparedness is the key to mitigate the damages in disasters and effectively manage a disaster situation. Natural disasters cannot be prevented or stopped with our current technology, but we can minimize the risk and vulnerability to disasters through vigilant individuals, organized communities, good communication systems, resilient structures, and an efficient national response mechanism. We are still undergoing recovery and rehabilitation after Typhoon Yolanda, and plans for disaster resilience are being implemented. These include building better and stronger hospitals and health facilities, coordinating with other countries such as Japan on strengthening coordination and communications during disasters, and minimizing human activities in identified disaster-prone areas. The Department of Health is highly involved in disaster response because the welfare of individuals and public health are compromised during these events. News reports often focus on the number of people who died during a disaster, which is indeed significant information.
However,
However,
we are
we're
also
also
concerned
concerned
about the
about the
health of
health
the
of the
survivors.
survivors, treating those who are injured and preventing illnesses, including outbreaks, in devastated communities is the bulk of the work of the department during disasters. We ensure that people in relocation sites have safe drinking water and maintain sanitation, that vaccines are provided to children to prevent outbreak of diseases such as measles, that the mental health of survivors is addressed through counseling and treatment if necessary, that there is an adequate supply of maintenance medications for hypertension and diabetes, and that emergency medical services are available, especially for pregnant women, to name a few. I also want to emphasize the need for multi-sectoral collaborations in a disaster situation. The department does not work independently. It is part of a systematic and coordinated response that involves other sectors and agencies such as the DSWD, the DPWH, the DOST, and other government agencies. Different aspects of an individual and community are affected during disasters, including food, shelter, health, and livelihood. In order to effectively respond to the needs of affected populations, the approach should be multi-sectoral. Our recent experience with typhoons Yolanda and Pablo and the earthquake in Bohol have shown us that our country needs to increase its capacity to handle disasters. Key issues that needed to be addressed include: how can we improve the disaster response system in the country? What technologies can be developed to aid in disaster and emergency response? What are the risks to disasters in the different areas and populations? These questions will be answered with presentations during this week. The research sector recognizes the need for more data and innovation to improve the country's response to disasters and emergencies. Although there is much work to be done, the researches to be presented in the coming days will give us helpful information that will guide the improvement of our disaster response. Studies that have been conducted include the World Health Organization's Safe Hospitals campaign that will expand mapping and assessment of different levels of hospitals in small and medium-sized cities as part of its second phase. In the future, there can be more studies that can help develop the way we predict, prevent, and respond to disasters. I am pleased that the theme for the Philippine National Health Research System this year is on research and innovation in health for disaster and emergency health management. This will be a means to further promote research that will generate the needed data and technology for disaster management. I hope that more researches will continue to be produced because this also help policymakers in making decisions and taking actions. Through research and innovation, the Philippines can reach the point where casualties and damages during disasters will be minimal because of adequate preparations and appropriate response mechanism. Our collective efforts will bring us to share new information as we host in Manila the 2015 Global Forum for Research and Innovation for Health. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Thank you so much, Asek Tayag, for the assurance that with the collaboration of the various sectors in keeping the Filipino a healthy one amidst the natural disasters that we are facing. That is, as Dr. Tayag has mentioned earlier, we should be able to predict, prevent, and respond to any disasters. At this point, we may hear a message from the Commission on Higher Education, Commissioner Minella Alarcon.
Distinguished and honorable guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I have the great pleasure to represent CHED, the Commission on Higher Education, in this important event for the Philippine National Health Research System. The PNHRS is all about promoting, facilitating, and coordinating health research and capacity building activities for a more coherent research agenda. These two are important tasks for CHED. CHED is therefore proud to be associated with PNHRS as one of its core agencies, especially in its focus on the role of health research in disaster and emergency health management. As part of good governance, our country is responsible for the health and well-being of its citizens, not only during normal times, but more so during periods of crisis and emergency. As a disaster-prone country, the Philippines should be prepared and be ready when disaster strikes through emergency response strategies that reduce potential physical damage. In a developing country like ours, poverty is a real aggravating factor. Therefore, our public health system, our clinics, our hospitals, our health workers, and volunteers should be well prepared to save lives, reduce suffering, and minimize injuries for both rich and poor. As I join PNHRS in welcoming you to this event, I would like to emphasize the importance of preparedness in times of crisis and disasters. Medical preparedness in particular. It is a very important topic in health research for disaster and emergency management. What are the measures of medical preparedness? What indicators give evidence to medical preparedness during times of disasters and emergencies? In managing risks to prevent or minimize loss of lives and property, how is the level of medical preparedness measured? How does one know if the public health system is sufficiently prepared? In particular, considering the poor and vulnerable, how does one prepare the public health system to effectively respond to disasters and emergencies and reduce suffering and save lives? It is important to find answers to these questions, and we can find these answers through research. I hope that during this PNHRS week, we are able to find answers to important questions on health for disaster and emergency management. Thank you and best wishes to all.
Marami pong salamat, Commissioner Alarcon. The role of the higher education institutions, which is being supervised by the Commission on Higher Education, cannot be questioned because it is the one that produces quality and responsible health personnel whom we can ask help for during disasters. Another representative from the academic sector, from the #1 university in the Philippines, the University of the Philippines, Manila. Let's all welcome Chancellor Manuel B. Agolto for his message.
Pinagpipitagan ng tagapagsalita, punong tagapagsalita, Senador at Rehabilitation Char Panfilo M. Lacson, Health Secretary Enrique Ona, represented here by ASEC Enrique Tayag, Secretary Mario Montejo, herein represented by ASEC Yorobe, Commission on Higher Education Chair Patricia Licuanan, herein represented by Commissioner let me see, Alarcon, Mirel Alarcon. See, I still remember the first name. Bakit ko po inisa-isa yung tatlong department secretary, dalawang department secretary at CHED commissioner? Sapagkat ang inyong abang lingkod ay nagkaroon ng karangalan na pumirma sa Philippine National Health Research Law. At ako po lang ata ang sa apat na pumirma ang nandito sa ngayong gabi ito. At inaakala ko po na dapat ko ring sabihin sa inyo na ang University of the Philippines, Manila, ang siyang namumuno sa pagtalalagsik. At yan po ay maaaninag natin sa katauhan, PNHRS Executive Director, Dr. Jaime Montoya. Maaari po bang tumindi? Maaari po nagmamarating Executive Director, Jaime Montoya. At of course, gusto ko din pong batiin ang isa sa aking mga pinalitan sa UP Manila, Chancellor Marita V.T. Reyes, D. Charina for Ethics. Ang aming pong kupunan na nanggaling sa NIH, the National Institutes of Health, a creation of law that allows for further research in the health sciences. Maaari po bang tumayo ang mga tiga UP Manila, dun sa bandang dulo po? Hindi po sila in-acknowledge kanina. At of course, ang Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development Chair Enrico Gruet, who is also from UP Manila. Kailangan ko pong gawin dito sapagkat napapansin ko po nalilimutan ata ng mga kasamahan ko na pumirma rito sa batas na ito na ang mga kasamahan nila ay galing sa UP Manila, gaya ni Yusek Erbosa. Kanya ngayong gabing ito, I would be remiss in my duties if I did not highlight the contributions of UP Manila to the PNHRS. And of course, fellow health workers and the other dignitaries. We have Professor Virginia Murray from the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction Science and Technical Advisory Group. Of course, the Governor of Cebu, represented by the Provincial Board Member Calderon. At of course, the Regional Director, DOST Region 7, Engineer Edelberto Paradela. Mga kasamahan sa pananaliksik sa kalusugan, mga panauhing lecturers, resource persons, maayong gabi kanang-tanan. I'm pleased to participate in this 8th anniversary celebration of the Philippine National Health Research System. And in behalf of UP Manila, I welcome you to this anniversary forum. We extend our gratitude to the Central Visayas Consortium for hosting this year's program. As in previous celebrations, this forum is a good opportunity to discuss significant issues and concerns on strengthening research as a tool for health improvement. This forum, again, tackles another urgent and relevant theme, research and innovation in health for disaster and emergency health management. The recent disasters that hit the country have led to a greater visibility and increased recognition of the significance of disaster and emergency management in health. With the Philippines' major experiences and growing vulnerability to disasters and emergencies, the role of research-based emergency management should be more appreciated and understood as we continue to hold public discussions and dialogues such as these. That disaster management now forms an integral part of health policy making and planning is highly encouraging for us in the health and academic sectors. Finally, we are coming to grips with the impact of disasters in society and in our lives. This forum is a welcome and significant step that should generate follow-up activities if we hope to find evidence-based solutions to our health problems. This, after all, is the vision of the PNHRS, to contribute to finding solutions for the nation's health problems through research. Through the years, the Philippine National Health Research System has proven to be an effective mechanism for the conduct of collaborative researches that are relevant and responsive to our needs and conditions. Researches that truly address the pressing health needs of the country and Filipinos. Mabuhay po ang PNHRS. Magandang gabi po.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Agurto. At this point, to give us a report on the activities and progress of the PNHRS, let us all welcome the Executive Director of PCHRD, DOST, and Lead Coordinator of PNHRS, Dr. Jaime C. Montoya.
As the saying goes, pictures are worth and speak more than 1,000 or even 1,000,000 words. So please sit back, and watch a short video that chronicles the 10-year journey of the Philippine National Health Research System. uh, if I may say, you, all of you, will determine the future of the Philippine National Health Research System. Please continue on sharing your expertise, your talent, and your skills to make the life of every Filipino better through health research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Dr. Jaime Montoya, for that very comprehensive and extensive report of PNHRS then and now. To present to us the role of science in disaster risk reduction, let's all welcome the Vice Chair of the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction, Science and Technology Advisory Group, Professor Virginia Morey. Just to give a brief profile, Dr. Morey has been a consultant in global disaster risk reduction and public health in England and a visiting professor in health protection, MRC HPA Center for Environment and Health, Imperial College and King's College, London. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Virginia Morey.
What a huge honor to be here with you for this 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week celebration. What an incredible organization you are. What an amazing video. What you are achieving is fantastic. So I'm truly honored to be here. I'm come to talk about disaster risk reduction and the role of science. Having seen your amazing presentations today and listened to some of the discussion, I know you are much concerned about the vulnerability of the Philippines to disasters. So let me show you a few things that have been happening in the UK. Well, the first one is to say that we do have sun occasionally. It's not just you in Cebu who have it, but we also have problems with heat. Heat for us can kill. In 2003, we had one of our hottest periods and a spike of deaths. Last year, we had another bad heat wave, but this time with a good heat wave plan for England, the numbers of deaths were dramatically reduced. But for us in the UK, cold is also a problem. We know when we compare ourselves with our European neighbours that we in the UK have a very bad output with winter mortality. Your typhoon, Yolanda, is thought to have killed about 16,000 last year. Last year, we had an excess winter mortality of over 31,000. So we too have disasters, not always quick and short. Some are long term and we still don't manage them well. In the UK, we have very clear guidance on how to respond to disasters with our Civil Contingencies Act. It makes some very clear suggestions of how we respond. Most of our response is at bronze, operational, frontline response. But if there is a problem and people can't cope with it, then it might become a silver response and go to tactical. But if it's a very big event, it might go to gold, at which case we have a strategic response reporting to our Prime Minister. In our cabinet rooms, briefing room A, known as COBRA. Health protection, Public Health England works at all levels. Sometimes disasters are driven from the top down, but more frequently it's the bottom up. but it's a very flexible and easy system to operate, we have found. As part of that, we have a national risk register. This is our last year's risk register, which looks at terrorism and other malicious acts, as well as other risks. I will begin with other risks. Our highest risk of relative impact score versus the likelihood of this happening is on the top right-hand corner, which is pandemic influenza. So there's a lot of concern in the UK about whether Ebola will arrive there, but we think with good management, WHO will be able to keep it under control. I just told you about the problems with low temperatures and heat waves. So now I coastal inland and storms and gales in the UK. So flooding is a problem. This is last winter, where we had the wettest winter on record since our records started in about 1666. It was extremely wet, but we had resources to help us with it. We have been working hard on building evidence-based science to support us. And this is a piece of work we've done with the World Health Organization, as well as ourselves in Public Health England, and we found it very helpful. We also had a storm last year. This was Windstorm St. Jude on the 28th of October. Here we had very good warnings 6 days in advance that the windstorm was coming, that the wind gusts would be up to 80 miles per hour, but by using a multi-agency cross-governmental response with our Cabinet Office press releases, we only had 5 deaths because people stayed at home, did not go on public transport, and were very careful. But for that, we had another evidence-based systematic literature review, which was found to be extremely helpful and informative, and was able to show the timeline of pre-storm, storm, and post-storm effects. This information was extremely important in sharing it with the members of the public, making sure they had the information they needed. But it's not just in the UK that we have problems. We know there are problems worldwide. And this of the natural catastrophes map of 2012 points to your Typhoon Pablo, known as Typhoon Bopa elsewhere, in the Philippines on the 4th to the 6th of December. But the whole world is at risk now that we have climate change and things have become more difficult. So for your typhoon last year, we worked very closely with the Cochrane collaboration, which I think many of you know, and their small subgroup of evidence aid. And we put up a series of resources on Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines to make you to have free access to all the data. The Cochrane Library was available to you free till the end of March. We put up a lot of public health information, mental health, infectious diseases, secondary stressors, but we also put up information on disaster evacuation and medication, power outages and extreme health events, disaster risk management for health with WHO, disaster needs assessment, and the website which hosted your Philippines response, so that our non-governmental organizations who came in working through WHO and your Department of Health in Manila could share the information as appropriately as we could possibly do. We worked very closely with our Met Office in the UK, which has very close links with your Met Office here, and we shared a lot of the evidence base with them too, so it was a real partnership working. But this is only part of the work that we in the UK get involved in. I'm sure many of you have heard of the Hyogo Framework for Action that has run from 2005 to 2015, but I know that some of you have never heard of it, so I'm going to explain it a little. This is about building the resilience of nations and communities to disasters. It is designed by the United Nations as a result of the Yokohama Framework in 1994 and this Hyogo Framework in 2005. There are 5 priority areas. The first is governance. Organizational, legal, and policy frameworks make disaster risk reduction a priority. In the Philippines, you have led on much of this across the world, providing your safe hospitals example as one of the things that we were very proud to discover, the work that you've been doing. However, we know it's very difficult for you. We know that risk identification, assessment, monitoring, and early warning are key, and there was a big discussion today about the word storm surge and what it means, and how you can actually educate people to understand the risks more clearly. And I believe there's a lot of work going on in the Philippines to try and address this more clearly. One of the calls I listened to today was about knowledge management in education. You seem to ask for much more education at all levels to make sure people really understand the risks of disasters. But it's not just in the health domain, it is the very wide domain, because disaster risk reduction should be mainstreamed throughout every decision in a government, we are told now. Partly because we need to reduce underlying risk factors. And on a tour of Cebu yesterday, I was quite concerned to see that there weren't many sea walls, and you have built extensively on your floodplains. We too in the UK have done this. It's only in the Netherlands that I know that they are really prepared. And only finally do we get to the bit that caused most discussion today when I was listening to your talks, on preparedness for effective response and recovery. Being prepared and ready to act, which I felt from your discussions suggested that coordination was not easy for all of you. But equally, the need for research to be embedded in the response and recovery seems to be crucial. And to hear the ethical debate this afternoon about trying to get pre-agreed ethics approval for work, I thought was really important. Congratulations on that. Now, disaster impacts across the world have caused much expensive damage, affected billions, and has killed many. The peaks and troughs are there to see in 2000 to 2012, information from the United Nations International Strategy on Disaster Reduction. But equally, the impact of climate change seems to be growing faster than we expected. And here you have the information up to 2011 with the increasing risk of floods that have been documented, recognizing that disaster database documentation is not as robust as it could be. I am the Vice Chair of the Science and Technical Advisory Group for UNISDR, and this was the report we presented last year at the Global Platform, where we had over 3.5 with over 170 countries, with only others there to talk about how we deal with disaster risk reduction. We felt the simplest way to show that science can make a difference was to write it as if a policymaker might need it. So we looked at the design, the science, the application to policy and practice, and many scientists don't seem to follow up on, did it make a difference? I'm going to show you just 2 examples. One is the new tsunami warning and mitigation for the Indian Ocean region, which has been used in Indonesia most extensively and has really made a difference. The second is more health-based and therefore I thought easier to explain. The problem has been congenital rubella, which many of you know only too well. But in the United States, at one period, they had over 11,000 babies that died and over 20,000 that had severe anomalies. The science really started in Australia in 1941 by a man called Norman Gregg, who overheard two women in the outpatients clinic of an ophthalmology day saying that their babies had very similar problems and they'd both had German measles, rubella. Gradually, Gregg and others grew and it was discovered that rubella obviously causes very, very serious effects that all of us know now. Practice change was a vaccination, which was particularly, and that all the Americans have been really pushing this vaccination program, and increasingly the vaccination program is being used across the world, but there are some countries who still don't have full access to it. So we know it saved lives. The recommendations from these case studies show that science should demonstrate that it can inform policy and practice, just as we've been called upon by your Undersecretary for the Department of Health. That we must use a problem-solving approach to research that integrates all hazards and disciplines. That we must promote knowledge into action. And that for us now, science should be key to the post-2015 HFA2, which was brought out in the closing chair's summary of the global platform in May 2013, where the chair reported that HFA2 will have a clear recognition for a central role for science. And of course, science includes all health sciences, all social sciences, all engineering sciences, and many other sciences. 2015 will be marked by 3 of these landmark agreements. One is the disaster risk reduction one. The second is Sustainable Development Goals, which will take on from the Millennium Development Goals, and the climate change agreements. These are really crucial to the future, and it's very important that you here in the Philippines, in this conference, should help to inform what you need. We have a clear timeline to 2015. We've already had the first preparatory committee for all the countries of the world in Geneva in July, and the next one is due in November. Last Friday, they released the very first pre-zero draft of HFA2, which is very important for those who are interested to see. It will be agreed in March next year in Japan and taken to the UN General Assembly for ratification in September next year. But us scientists were really worried. We knew that science was not strong in HFA1. So we have proposed an international science advisory mechanism for disaster risk reduction to strengthen resilience for the post-2015 agenda. We've called for an action agenda, champion and reinforce existing and future programs and initiatives for integrated research and the scientific assessment of disaster risk. And secondly, establish an international science advisory mechanism for disaster risk reduction to strengthen resilience for the post-2015 agenda. What could this do? Well, the first thing is to produce periodic reports on current and future disaster risks and on the status of efforts to manage such risks at global, regional, national, and local scales. So this really important report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Special Report on Managing the Risks of Extreme Events and Disasters to Advance Climate Change Adaptation, is absolutely crucial that people inside the Philippines know, use, and can benefit from it. I am the first author of one of the 9 chapters and know it intimately and feel that it's a really important tool with a very clear health message. We also need and will have the opportunity with HFA2 in monitoring progress towards internationally agreed targets. Some of them have been described in the Elements program, but now we have a very clear framework on what we could achieve with inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Some based within countries, but some will be globally assessed. What an opportunity for the Philippines to show that although you have disasters, you can really make a difference. The next is to provide guidance on terminology, methodologies, standards for risk assessment, risk modeling, taxonomies, the use of data, and other things. Terminology is always difficult, but I saw in the presentations today that you had several definitions that were not standard UN agreed. Maybe it's an opportunity for us all to take forward the standards that exist and improve them. But it's no good having a statement if it doesn't reflect what the stakeholders need. The whole purpose of science is it must be much more pragmatic on what needs to be used, of what we can do to really make a difference. So it's to identify and address those demands for science research, information and evidence on disaster risk and resilience is key, both at community, local, national, regional and global levels. And the final thing that we're really interested in is making sure that communication of complex scientific information and evidence to support the decision making of policymakers and other stakeholders should be facilitated so that policymakers can really use the science that's available in a way that helps them to make better decisions. This has been supported at the 5th Africa Regional Platform in Abuja in May, where all the African countries and African Union came together. This has been supported by the whole of the Americas meeting in Guayaquil in Ecuador in May. This has been supported by the Bangkok Declaration for Disaster Risk Reduction in Asia and the Pacific in June 2014. It's also been supported for the Pacific and for the European ministers. At the UN World Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction preparatory meeting, there were many statements talking about the need for science, a real call for how we can help. But one of the things that I was really pleased about was that in strengthening science is absolutely key for the joint United Nations statement, where they wanted a UN system supporting the proposed creation of an international science advisory mechanism to strengthen the evidence base for implementation and monitoring of the new framework. This was signed by all these United Nations bodies, which also includes the World Health Organization, a huge achievement on behalf of our colleagues worldwide. So finally, disaster risk reduction and the role of science. It is essential that we know that disasters are increasing in frequency, be they little ones or the terrifyingly big ones like your typhoon, Yolanda. We know that evidence-based science is key to public health preparedness, response, but increasingly to recovery. There is now an opportunity for science to impact on policy and practice by establishing an international science advisory mechanism for disaster risk reduction to strengthen resilience. Thank you for allowing me to bring my presentation to you, and I look forward to working with you over the next 2 days.
Thank you so much, Professor Murray, for giving us a glimpse on how UK is basically handling disasters. At this junction, may we request Dr. Jaime Montoya, Dr. Undersecretary Carol Yarobe, ASEC Enrique Tayag, Commissioner Manela Alarcon, Chancellor Manuel Agulto, and Dr. Enrico Gruet to present this plaque of appreciation. Let me read the plaque of appreciation. It is presented to Professor Virginia Murray in grateful recognition for her invaluable service as speaker during the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week celebration with the theme Research and Innovation in Health for Disaster and Emergency Management. Given this 12th day of August 2014, in Radisson Blue Hotel, Cebu City. Signed, Dr. Jaime Montoya, Dr. Enrico Gruet, and Dr. Thelma La Rosa Fernandez. Thank you. There has been a number of highlights for this evening's affair, and one of which is our speaker, the keynote speaker for tonight. To introduce to our keynote speaker for this celebration, may I call the Regional Director of the OST Region 7, Engineer Edilberto Paradela.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Our guest of honor and speaker, a member of Matatag class of 1971 of the Philippine Military Academy, is a distinguished servant leader in our country. He is known for his distinctive phrase, "What is right must be kept right, what is wrong must be set right." A personal credo he has faithfully observed in his more than 40 years of public service as a law enforcer, legislator, and now a rehabilitation czar. His rise to national consciousness started when he catapulted the Philippine National Police to one of its highest public approval ratings in history. Not only did he restore the Philippine National Police to its glory days, his stand as Chief PNP also sparked a grueling yet worthwhile uphill climb for this man from Imus, Cavite. During his 2 consecutive terms as a senator, he had consistently not availed of his Priority Development Assistance Fund entitlement, commonly known as a pork barrel, which is worth 200 million annually as part of his crusade against graft and corruption. He served as chairman of the Senate Committee of National Defense, Committee on Civil Service and Government Organization, Committee on Ethics, and the Committee on Accounts. Some of the more significant laws that he authored and sponsored are the following: Republic Act number 9485, the Anti-Red Tape Act of 2007, Republic Act number 10,349, an act amending Republic Act number 7,898, establishing the revised Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program and for other purposes. Republic Act number 9166, an act increasing the base pay of the members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Republic Act number 9416, the Anti-Cheating Act of 2007. Republic Act of number 10,167, an act to further strengthen the anti-money laundering law. Republic Act number 10,354, an act providing for national policy on responsible parenthood and republic reproductive health. Republic Act number 10,151, an act to restructure the excise tax on alcohol and tobacco. Republic Act number 9484, the Philippine Dental Act of 2007. At present, he is in charge of rehabilitating and rebuilding the 171 cities and municipalities hit by the storm surge caused by Typhoon Yolanda. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all give a warm welcome to Secretary Panfilo M. Lacson.
Thank you very much, Director Peradela, for that kind introduction. Undersecretary Carol Urobe of the DOST, Assistant Secretary Eric Tayag of the Department of Health, Professor Virginia Murray of the United Nations, my fellow workers, delegates and participants of the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week, friends, guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank the Department of Science and Technology, the organizers and conveners of the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week, and our friends at the Central Visayas Consortium for Health Research and Development for giving premium to health research. I can still remember when I was in the Senate actively participating in the annual budget deliberations. I would make it a point to introduce an amendment to augment the meager resource of the DOST, particularly in pursuit of research and development. I firmly believe, then and now, that one driving force which can propel our country's growth and development rests heavily on scientific research and our ability to harness our homegrown talents by giving them all the support and motivation to keep them here and contribute to our own country and none other. I cannot understand for the life of me why we keep on driving away the many science we have from our shores to the waiting arms of a foreign land, only to heap praises and accolades on them, even trying hard to claim honor by tracing their Filipino ancestral roots after they excel in their fields. Sadly, almost always when we do, they already renounced their birth citizenship and have owed allegiance to another nation's flag. To illustrate, the world was made brighter by a full-blooded Filipino, Agapito Flores, when he invented the fluorescent lamp. Children and adults continue to enjoy one of the world's favorite toys, the yo-yo, thanks to another Filipino and another Flores, first name Pedro, who invented and mass-produced yo-yo in a small toy factory in California, USA, where he migrated until he sold the rights to an American who hit it big in business by selling millions of yo-yos all over the world. Fidel Mundo, the first Asian to enter the Harvard University's School of Medicine, invented the incubator and jaundice relieving machine. Eduardo San Juan, who invented the moon buggy or the lunar rover, which was used by Neil Armstrong and other astronauts when they first explored the moon in 1969. The unheralded and forgotten Abelardo Aguilar, who invented erythromycin, better known as an Ilosan brand antibiotic, named by an Indiana-based pharmaceutical firm, Eli Lilly Company, in honor of Iloilo, province where Aguilar discovered and developed the fungi into that antibiotic drug. We don't have to go far to stress this point. My office's very own attorney Karen Jimeno has an aunt, Nora Ventura Lapitan, who is a Filipino genetic scientist now working with the U.S. government's National Science Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Her inventions include DNA sequences for a wheat gene conferring drought resistance. As much as she would like to share her talent here, the lack of facilities and opportunities in the Philippines prevents her from coming back. I can mention many others because there is a lot more, but there are still a number a good number in this program, and I'm afraid that I might finish my keynote address at 12 midnight just calling the role of Filipino scientists and inventors whose talents may not have necessarily gone to waste as they contributed a great deal to mankind and humanity. But the whole point that I want to underscore is the apparent neglect of most of our national leaders, or at the very least, their lack of support to the propagation of innovative scientific research in this benighted land. That is why the organizers and promoters of this evening's event deserve to be commended and nothing less. It is time we supported this kind of initiative and undertaking with no ifs and buts, but unequivocally. In my case, I will continue to be an advocate and supporter of meaningful research and development in whatever personal and official capacity. Since childhood, I have always dreamt of seeing in my lifetime a Filipino health advocate finding an antidote to cancer so that the agony of dying and waiting to die will never be felt by anyone or somebody who can make the hair regrow in its original texture and color, so baldness and white hair will only be by choice. Or a cheap drug that will put Vicky Bello out of business, so husbands can stop working their butts out at some points in their lives only to spend hard-earned money to make their wives look more beautiful and younger. More relevantly, how I wish that a Filipino scientist can invent and develop a technology that can dissipate and weaken down to zero wind velocity any typhoon or hurricane hours before it makes landfall. I just remember we are here in my adoptive city of Cebu, and since Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan made its second and third landfalls in Bantayan and Bantayan Island in northern Cebu, I might as well report to you that on August 1, 2014, through the concerted efforts of the cabinet clusters and the local government units, we submitted the 170.9 billion peso Yolanda Comprehensive Rehabilitation and Recovery Plan, or CRRP, to the President. With the President's approval of the comprehensive plan, combined with his earlier nod on the phased implementation of 6 vetted local government units rehabilitation and recovery plans, which includes Cebu, we are confident that all rehabilitation efforts of the government will now shift to high gear. But even with massive mobilization of government resources and the downloading of funds to the implementing agencies, we will need you, the health sector, to take up even more significant roles. Never before had our country been faced with so unprecedented a task of reconstruction. I find very timely your celebration of the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week, whose theme dwells on, and I quote, research and innovation in health for disaster and emergency health management, unquote. I agree with you completely that evidence-based action planning is important for disaster management and preparedness. We will need you, delegates of PNHRS, to help us arrive at health outcomes in a manner that would build back our country better safer, and in ways resilient. Before I discuss the topic of evidence-based action planning on disaster management, I wish to revisit an unforgettable personal experience with human generosity, if not the particulars of the human condition unbounded by the circumstance of time and place. When Typhoon Yolanda cut a swath of devastation across the central part of the Philippines last November 8, 2013, killing 6,300 people and severely affecting more than 1.4 million families, the whole world came to help and helped unconditionally. Yolanda taught us many lessons, mostly about the generosity of bleeding hearts. I tell you, when that heart bleeds, it forgets its race, color, and language. It even forgets its age. As Yolanda makes no distinction between age nor gender, nor one social stratum, so too our combined human response to Yolanda should make no distinction. My encounters with important social actors led me to bear witness to human interaction in ways that uplift the human condition permanently, from turnovers of motorized bankas to fisher folk, to inaugurations of hospitals, to the great humanitarian commitments and pledges of whole countries. It was then and there when I realized that private sector stakeholders can be a prime mover for the state. One of my encounters with human generosity was in Tanawan, Leyte. It was there where I learned of the story of our youngest donors, Tala and Malaya David, aged 10 and 13. They were born and raised in Berkeley, California, USA. Over dinner with their grandfather, Amado David, who had earlier emigrated to the United States from Tanawan, Leyte, the two young girls told him they wanted to raise 1,000 US dollars to buy some school supplies for the poor kids in their grandfather's hometown. The girls have yet to set foot on Leyte, but saw TV news footages of the destruction brought about by Typhoon Haiyan. Amused, Grandpa Amado simply smiled, unconvinced, and maybe skeptical. Then forgot what he heard that evening. Without his knowledge, the David sisters went online selling red, white, and blue-colored rubber loom bands for $10 apiece, indicating where they would use the proceeds. In 2 months, they collected a total of 135,000 US dollars, or roughly 5.8 million pesos, enough to build a 4-classroom building in Barangay Maribi, Tanawan, Leyte, where we broke ground around 3 months ago to signal the start of its construction. While I referred to Tala and Malaya earlier as our youngest donors, I have to appropriately describe them now as our youngest heroes. Just like the scientists and inventors that our country has produced, and all those that will come after them to save and prolong lives out of science and technology. Indeed, Secretary Montejo and his DOST family rightly deserve our support, both in words as well in actual acts of encouragement. We are capable of doing what the two young girls did in California, barely even at their teens, to raise 6 million pesos, enough for a classroom, 4-classroom structure to be built from ground up. I believe that the participants in this forum will be able to translate your normative and empirical methods, which you already routinely apply, to raise health awareness and health outcomes in the Yolanda corridor. I know you can make research-based solutions to health problems to one of simple, straightforward action. I have other human interest real-life stories of raw heroism and honesty, if you will, to share and which transpired along the Yolanda corridor at a time of unimaginable suffering and difficulties of the survivors, like that of a mother of four who walked a few kilometers to return 1,500 pesos under a 500 pesos per day cash for work program of the Taiwan-based Chuchi Foundation. The woman voluntarily claimed that she did not deserve the excess amount because she failed to report for work as she had to attend to and take care of a sick child for 3 days. Or that of a 10-year-old boy sent on an errand by his ailing father to return 3,000 pesos in excess of the 12,000 pesos in one-time cash assistance to typhoon survivors that their family of 5 was entitled to, compared to larger families of 8 that were entitled to receive 15,000 pesos. But then, I know you invited me here to discuss the topic of evidence-based action planning on disaster management and preparedness. This is, no doubt, an equally important task. I will also give a quick summation of all Yolanda rehabilitation efforts being coordinated by my office as Presidential Assistant for Rehabilitation and Recovery. Based on my understanding, evidence-based action planning is typically designed for early detection and treatment of health risks, which can be applied to prevent cases of asthma exacerbation, underage alcoholism, to larger community-wide vaccination programs. The list of applications seems so far and wide because I understand that evidence-based action plans are geared towards how health professionals can make the most optimal strategic intervention, particularly in an environment with insufficient data and imperfect or asymmetric information about a patient's symptoms. Much scholarship in the field of evidence-based action plans will almost always end with some degree of inconclusiveness, along with a typical conclusion calling for more studies, better results, and findings with less variations. But medical scholarship also points to evidence-based action plans as one that requires medically relevant strategic intervention under protective, prevention, or precautionary principles, or principles requiring the immediate deployment of health mechanisms under circumstances of medical uncertainty. Scholarship also points to action plans carried out in the name of early detection. All told, the continuum of medical claims converges towards an appraisal of evidence in whatever form or degree towards strategic action and how that action can best raise a patient's health outcome. It so happens to be that your patient here today is the entirety of the Yolanda corridor, which comprises 171 cities and municipalities in 14 provinces across 6 regions. While far from being a medical expert on my own right, my own layman's observation is that toolkits for disaster risk reduction and management, or DRRM, should always predicate action under extreme uncertainty. I think the slogan acting with certitude even in times of uncertainty applies equally to medical evidence-based action planning and DRRM. Under the circumstances of the new normal, what with all the unpredictability of the adverse impacts of climate change, our calculus ought to be slanted towards an action-based paradigm that requires swift response, even with uncertainties and incomplete information, but one without compromising the totality of health outcomes of the subject society you intend to diagnose and treat. While we have submitted our master plan last August 1, still, our ability to cope with disaster management since Yolanda struck in November will be put to severe test. As medical experts, you may be familiar with a productivity and empirical model typically called the bottom-up approach. The bottom-up approach is applied in various settings, from scientific field testing to poverty alleviation, for the purpose of planning, managing, forecasting productivity improvements. Since the President approved in principle our phased implementation of projects anchored on the bottom-up approach, my office asked all affected local government units to develop their own rehabilitation and recovery plans for these LGUs to immediately articulate the needs and plan. Local government units recover Leyte, Samar, Eastern Samar, Iloilo, and the city of Tacloban with a total of 112 billion pesos in funding needs and requirements that the Department of Budget and Management is now authorized to release to the different implementing agencies. Our implementing line agencies can in turn download some of their resources to the local government units which hold appropriate absorptive capacities. Phased implementation was necessary despite lingering uncertainty, and we knew that we had to act and act now. Acting with certitude despite uncertainty can especially hold true under the new normal. Under the new normal, there can be systemic lack of data, lack of understanding over and methodological uncertainty, and yet the new normal will require all key social you to act now, today, with certitude despite lingering empirical uncertainty. If we are faced with lingering uncertainty despite scientifically best methods within our reach, resilience will be key. Recognition of resiliency can inform your evidence-based action planning. Today's mega disasters put to the test the very coping ability of nations, regions, and the international community at large. Their roles and functions, or the roles and functions of governments, entire laws and land use codes, and institutional behavior, both private and public, must be subjected to a new resiliency test. Your collective insights and sustained advocacy for a new set of medical best practices will be needed in DRRM generally and in our great tasks in Yolanda rehabilitation in particular. We will need you to engage us in our combined efforts to uplift and rehabilitate the Yolanda corridor. Before Yolanda, these 6 regions had a combined population of 29.5 million people, accounting for 17.4% of the country's GDP. They were contributing a total of 26 agricultural output of 26.8%, 16.7% of industry, and 15.8% of services. These pre-disaster demographics provide us with indicators of what our baseline or threshold data should be when formulating our programs, projects, and activities or PPAs under the Build Back Better platform of the President. One of our main goals in the CRRP or Master Plan is not only to restore pre-Yolanda economic demographics, but to go beyond the quality of life associated with the pre-Yolanda status quo. As overall manager, PAR is tasked to unify and coordinate rehabilitation and recovery efforts from the public and the private sector. From the public or government sector, PAR established a cluster framework approach by organizing 5 clusters at the national level, namely infrastructure, resettlement, livelihood, social services, and support, each headed and supported by the relevant government line agencies. This is in addition to our bottom-up or phased implementation I mentioned earlier, which requires participation by all local government units. To give you an overview, we will need to resettle 205,128 housing units to safe zones after the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Department of Science and Technology have properly identified some 1,364 hectares of suitable sites for resettlement. The identification of safe zones means that the covered areas are free from multi-hazards such as storm surges, floods, erosion, landslides, volcano eruption, fault lines, even soil liquefaction. Along this line, my office led the initiative on multi-hazard mapping, which integrates and topologically overlays different thematic maps generated by various government agencies and other groups to create a unified multi-hazard map. The unified multi-hazard map will be useful and beneficial to the local government units to view coincidence hazards in their areas. This will allow planning to become strategic and geographically targeted. Our government is faced with the need to provide assistance, either in financial form or in the form of distribution of construction materials or both, to some 1,010,000 families whose houses are located in safe zones but are nevertheless damaged, either partially or totally. National roads, bridges, ports, and airports will be rebuilt and reconstructed. In fact, as I speak, so much of the infrastructure is already being rebuilt. And as the President mentioned in his SONA, the reconstruction of many national roads, ports, airports have already been completed. Livelihood opportunities will be generated and expanded in the agricultural and the fisheries sectors, as well as in the industry and services sectors. As we anticipated the gaps and hurdles which inhere in the bureaucracy across all government institutions, PAR called upon the private sector, NGOs, CSOs, and organized them to become development and sector sponsors. They have so far contributed immensely and continue to assist in the rehabilitation efforts. Upon the President's approval of the master plan, we will shift our focus towards monitoring and evaluating the implementation of projects as part of my office's oversight mandate under Memorandum Order number 62. This is a new challenge which PAR will face. Consider this, a mere 1% leakage in whatever form in the implementation of the projects, programs, and activities costing 171 billion pesos actually means 1.71 billion in wasted taxpayers' money. Worse, if these project implementers, aka contractors, encounter the unscrupulous Mr. 10% or Madam 20% while undertaking the projects, the result could be disastrous and sickening. This is where you, as delegates and participants of PNHRS Week and other like-minded groups, can continue to help us by way of monitoring how and where the monies go. Sums of money which we, as taxpayers, are all contributors in the first place. Needless to say, like Tala and Malaya David, you and I have a stake in every peso to be spent on rehabilitation. PAR has formulated a tool to do this. We have dubbed it as empathy, short for Electronic Management Platform, Accountability and Transparency Hub for Yolanda. Empathy captures all pipeline, ongoing and completed projects in support of Yolanda recovery. This includes projects funded by the private sector, bilateral and multilateral donors, as well as those funded by national and international governments and non-government institutions and organizations. PAR hopes that beyond Yolanda efforts, this same platform will eventually be used to monitor all types of government projects to promote transparency and accountability. OPAR's official website will also have a function that allows PAR to receive reports about any anomaly relating to rehabilitation projects. With an acknowledgement of the participation of the private sector, multilateral, bilateral agencies, NGOs, and CSOs who have proved invaluable in filling the gaps needed for the rehabilitation effort. Our health professionals, and all those present in this year's PNHRS week, I can only say I cannot thank you enough for everything that you have done and continue to do within your means that would best provide comfort and hope to our countrymen along the Yolanda corridor. We appeal to you to continue and sustain multi-sectoral support even as our implementing agencies are poised to undertake major projects. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Secretary Panfilo Lacson, our beacon of light and hope in the recognizing the significant. Also, thank you for your unselfish and sincere service to the Filipinos, especially those who survived the disaster, as well as for accepting the enormous challenge as Presidential Assistant for Rehabilitation and Recovery. Truly, sir, you deserve to be called the Czar of Disaster Rehabilitation and Recovery. A round of applause once again. Award the plaque of appreciation to Secretary Lacson, Jaime Montoya, Undersecretary Carol Urobi, ASEC Enrique Tayag, Commissioner Minela Alarcon, Chancellor Manuel Agolto, and Dr. Enrico Gruit to do the honors. We also ask the good senator to be in front as I read the text of the plaque. Plaque of appreciation presented to Secretary Panfilo M. Lacson in grateful recognition for his invaluable services as keynote speaker during the 8th Philippine National Health Research System Week celebration, given this 12th day of August 2014, Radisson Blu Hotel, Cebu City. Signed, Dr. Jaime C. Montoya, Dr. Enrico B. Gruit, and Dr. Thelma L. Fernandez. Let's keep those applause clapping, please. A round of applause once again to Secretary Panfilo Lacson. On a lighter note, we would like to entertain you with a very from the Southwestern University Chorale.
Another round of applause, please, to the Southwestern University Choral Group. At this junction, we will be handing out special awards to special individuals who are who will be recognized by the PCHRD and DOST. The first special award is the Consortium Website Script. The Consortium Website Awards program recognizes the best regional health research and development consortium website. This year, the Philippine National Health Research System gives a special award to the most up-to-date quality RHRDC website, and the best consortium website is determined through the following criteria: quality of information or articles uploaded 50%, up-to-date content 30%, graphics 20%. Let me call on stage to hand in the award Dr. Jaime Montoya, Commissioner Minela Alarcon, Chancellor Manuel Agulto, Undersecretary Carol Yorobe, ASEC Enrique Tayag, and Dr. Enrico Gruet to hand in the special award, which goes to the Region 11 Health Research and Development Consortium. To receive the certificate, may we call on the Chair of RHRDC 11, Dr. Werlito Vicente, on stage, please.
Let me read the text. PNHRS presents the Certificate of Recognition to Region 11 Health Research and Development Consortium for having the most up-to-date and quality RHRDC website, given this 12th day of August 2014 during the 8th PNHRS Week celebration at Radisson Blu Hotel, Cebu City. Signed, Jaime C. Montoya and Enrico B. Gruit.
Congratulations, Region 11. The next special award is the Health Research Database. In 2009, the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development started the deployment of Herden Neon system, which allows institutions to organize, process, and disseminate the research information and contribute to the health repository Herden. From 2009 to the present, PCHRD trained 192 institutions to use the said system. To date, 36 institutions contributed 6,000 records to Herden. PCHRD is pleased to give this special award to an institution which regularly input to the database, and the award goes to the Cebu Doctors University.
Philippine Council for Health Research and Development presents the Certificate of Recognition to Cebu Doctors University for consistently updating and sharing their health research output to National Health Research Repository, given this 12th of August 2014 during the 8th PNHRS Week celebration at Radisson Blu Hotel, Cebu City. Signed, Jaime C. Montoya, Executive Director.
So Dr. Gruet will be
To Dr. Gruet, please. Okay. Congratulations to Cebu Doctors University. May we request our waiters to please clear up the stage so as to give more visual appreciation
to the awardees.
Yeah.
Thank you, doctors. And now for the last special award, may we call on the Undersecretary Carol Yorobe of the UST, Dr. Jaime Montoya, PCHRD Executive Director, and Dr. Marita Reyes, member of the FREB Subcommittee on Standards and Accreditation, and Chair National Ethics Committee to award the Certificate of Accreditation Level 3 to the Davao Doctors Hospital Institutional Ethics Review Board. May we also call on stage the President and CEO of Davao Doctors Hospital, Mr. Raymond Del Val, Dr. Joyce Custodio, DDHI-ERC Chairperson, and Dr. Lourdes Ledesma, DDHI-ERC Member Secretary, and Ms. Rachel Lemperas, DDH-IRC Staff Secretary.
May I read the text? PNHRS, Philippine Health Research Ethics Board awards this certificate of accreditation to Davao Doctors Hospital Institutional Ethics Review Board, which has fulfilled all the FREB requirements as Level 3 Ethics Review Committee accreditation number L3-2014-006-01 with effectivity date of August 12, 2014 and expiration date of August 12, 2017 with all obligations and privileges thereunto accorded. Given this 12th day of August 2014 at Cebu City, Philippines. Signed, Cecilia B. Thomas, MD, Leonardo D. Di Castro, PhD, and Jaime C. Montoya, MD.
Congratulations.
I think we should mention here that this cluster committee is the this is Davao Doctors. No, so this is the second ethics committee in Davao. The first one is the cluster committee, and now Davao Doctors. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, doctors. At this point, we will be awarding the winners of the student research competition, which was held this afternoon. This morning. So, to hand in the award, let me Dr. Enrico Gruet, and the chair of the research committee, Dr. Debbie Abdul. Okay, the third prize, the researchers would receive 10,000 pesos cash, a plaque, and certificate of appreciation. The third prize goes to the research entitled Anti-Developmental Effects of Callistemon viminalis Weeping Battle Brush Leaf Extract on the Early Development of Trypnostes gratella or Sea Urchin Embryos. The presenter was Ms. Geraldine Cercado.
From Cebu Institute of Medicine. Congratulations.
If the group mates are around, you are more than welcome to join Ms. Cercado on stage. I know it's a group effort. Oh, group mates. Congratulations.
The second prize winner will receive 15,000 pesos in cash, a plaque, and a certificate. And our winner for the second prize is the study entitled Nephroprotective Effects of Pugon Impirata cylindrica Root Aqueous Extract on Sprague Dolly Rats with gentamicin-induced acute kidney injury. From the University of the Philippines, Manila College of Medicine, Mr. Jonel Poblete.
Any group mates around? Congratulations! And the first prize, the winner will receive 20,000 pesos in cash, plaque, and a certificate. The first prize with the student research competition goes to the research entitled Not All Tawa-Tawas Are Alike, a morphological, molecular, genetic, phytochemical, and IT-thrombocytopenic profiling of different Euphorbia herta plants from the Philippines. Presented by Ms. Shiraya Laney De Paz from the University of the Philippines, Manila College of Medicine. Congratulations! Okay, let's move on to the awarding of the winners of the 2014 DOST PCHRD Grupo Medical Award for Outstanding Undergraduate Thesis in Herbal Medicine. The DOST PCHRD Grupo Medica Award for Outstanding Undergraduate Thesis in Herbal Medicine is a joint undertaking between DOST PCHRD and Grupo Medica Incorporated that recognizes the relevant effort and innovative research work on herbal medicine undertaken by undergraduate students of the colleges of pharmacy, chemistry, nursing, and arts and sciences. Grupo Medica Incorporated has been a part in this endeavor for 16 years now. The award highlights researches that can lead to practical and or commercial applications. It also expects to provide motivation for students with the technical guidance of their faculty advisors to view undergraduate thesis not merely as an academic exercise, but as an excellent opportunity to contribute to national interest. Winners were selected based on the following criteria: relevance 20%, potential for practical application or commercialization of results 25%, creativity and originality of research work 20%, scientific quality 30%, and number of researchers 5%. Selection of the finalists were conducted by our selection committee members composed of Dr. Aaron Villaseñor of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Dr. Alicia Aguinaldo of the University of Santo Tomas, Dr. Rita Grace Alvero of the La Salle Sciences Institute, Ms. Melody Zamudio of Food and Drug Administration, and Ms. Agnes Mendoza, Ms. Leia Brazil, and Ms. Aurora Sobrevinas of Grupo Medica Incorporated. Winners were selected based on the grading of the oral presentation of the 5 finalists' respective thesis conducted on July 2, 20, and 14. The third place award goes to San Pedro College. May I call on Ms. Diana Jane Cadyatan and Ms. Judith Abad, together with their advisor, Professor Fatima May R. Tesoro, their dean, Ms. Leilani Bitonio, and President Sister Annabelia Ronia to receive the award for their completed thesis project entitled Anxiolytic Activity of Camperol Fraction from Busicad Leaves in Capsule Formulation. Other members of the group include Mahana Bale, Katrina Marie Brillante, Charlene Ganason, and Rica Bianca Guardados. The group will receive a cash prize of 20,000 pesos, 14,000 pesos of which for the students, 4,000 pesos for the mentor, and 2,000 for the school, and as well as a plaque of recognition.
Congratulations, Miss Diana Jane M. Kadiatan of San Pedro College.
Congratulations. The second place award goes to, again, San Pedro College. My call on stage, Mr. Farrell J. Batua, Mr. Benjamin Francis Hernandez, Mr. Brendel John Roa, and Ms. Cariza Tan and their thesis advisor, Professor Fatima May Tesoro, to receive the award for the completed thesis project entitled The Anti-Urolithiatic Activity of the Tondon Spring Pseudostern stem capsule in ethylene glycol induced albino rats, a potential preventing agent for kidney stone formation. Other members of the group include Charmaine Jane Bifitel and Stephanie Louise Estepona. The group will receive a cash prize of 40,000 pesos, 28,000 for the students, 8,000 for the mentor, and 4,000 for the school. I have to mention the how it is being divided.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Farrell J. Batwa and the members of the group. Okay. Your plaque of recognition is awarded by T. Victorino A. Meneses and Jaime C. Montoya, Executive Director of PCHRD.
Yeah, San Pedro College is in Davao City. Just for those who are not aware. And the first place goes to, once again, to the San Pedro College. And may I request Mr. Dave Eric Erosa, Ms. Hazel May Lawas, and Ms. Rachel May Negasca, and their thesis advisor, Professor Fatima May Tesoro, to receive the award for the completed thesis project entitled The Anti-Dengue Potential of the Quercetin Fraction of Tawa-Tawa, Whole Plant, Papaya Leaves, and the combined Tawa-Tawa, Whole Plant, and Papaya Leaves tea preparation using the laboratory criteria platelet count and hematocrit level. Other members of the group include Lua Ederne Eugenio, Harvey Tadle, and John Carmina Tan. The group will receive a cash of 60,000 pesos, 42,000 would go to the student, 12,000 for the mentor, and 6,000 for the school. Again, congratulations.
Congratulations to Dave, Eric, Fo, Erosa, and company. As well as congratulations to San Pedro College, Davao City.
As well as to RHRDC 11. They have consistently been winning for the past 3 years. At this point, we would like to remind all regional consortia that the DOST PCHRD Grupo Medica Award for Outstanding Undergraduate Thesis in Herbal Medicine is given every year, and this is open to all regions. Therefore, we will be expecting more entries for next year, and hopefully, it will not be monopolized by the San Pedro College. Next is the last set of awardees for tonight. This is the 2014 Alberto G. Romualdez Jr. Outstanding Health Research Award winner, or the ARO-RA. The Alberto G. Romualdez Jr. Outstanding Health Research Award, or Aurora, is an award given to a research program or project that has demonstrated the link between research and practice through the utilization of research in the health delivery system. The award has two categories: the Biomedical and Health Services Research category, funded by the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development of the Department of Science and Technology, or the PCHRD-DOST, and the Department of Health, respectively. However, for this year, we have selected a winner for the Health Services Research category only, and no winner was declared for the Biomedical Research category. The winner for this year was decided after undergoing two levels of selection: preliminary screening and final selection, which was conducted by distinguished scientists and technical experts from different institutions. It is indeed an honor to award this year's winner because this is the first time that we are giving the award under the name of Dr. Alberto G. Romualdez Jr., who himself has done significant contributions in the health sector of the country. The winner for the Health Services Research category for the 2014 Aurora is the Neglected Tropical Diseases Study Group of the National Institutes of Health, College of Public Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. May we call on the representative? The group will be represented by Dr. Vicente Belisario, Jr., convener of the study group, and the group will receive a cash prize of 500,000 pesos and a trophy.
The citation reads, PCHRD and Department of Health present the 2014 Alberto G. Romualdez Jr. Outstanding Health Research Award in the Health Services Research category to Neglected Tropical Diseases Study Group, National Institutes of Health, College of Public Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Agolto, Dr. Tayag, Commissioner Alarcon, and Dr. Yorobi, as well as Dr. Gruit, for presenting the award to our winners.
So congratulations to our winner, the Neglected Tropical Diseases Study Group. And to give us an overview of the studies conducted by our winner, let us watch this short audiovisual presentation.
The Alberto G. Romualdez Jr. Outstanding Health Research Award encourages researchers to be sensitive to the scientific and technological requirements of the health delivery system and rewards those whose research have contributed significantly to addressing prevalent health issues.
It gives me great pleasure to extend my warmest congratulations in behalf of the Department of Science and Technology to the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development and the Department of Health to this year's 2014 Alberto G. Romualdez Outstanding Health Research Award for the Health Services Research category. The Neglected Tropical Diseases Study Group of the UP College of Public Health, National Institutes of Health, University of the Philippines.
Formerly known as the Outstanding Health Research Award, starting this year, the award has been given a new name. the Alberto G. Romualdez Outstanding Health Research Award to honor the memory of the late Secretary Dr. Alberto G. Romualdez, the first Executive Director of the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development and former Secretary of the Department of Health, who has instituted significant health reform which has affected not only health service delivery during his time, but even up to now. The award gives recognition to a research program or a project that provides long-term solutions to health problems affecting majority of the population. This particular award is given to research and study groups that have contributed to the enhancement and improvement of the quality of life of Filipinos through improved and efficient healthcare delivery systems and through the effective and efficient translation of health research into policy which impact the lives of Filipinos. A screening committee composed of distinguished scientists and technical experts appointed by the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development reviews all the nominations and recommends the shortlisted candidates to the Board of Judges for its consideration. The Board of Judges then reviews the work of the shortlisted candidates and decides on the awardee for each category. Biomedical research category and health services research category based on the set criteria. Extent of impact on health or quality of life, economic benefits as well as science and technology benefits of the research. This year's recipient, the Neglected Tropical Diseases Study Group, started about 5 years ago with focus on malaria, lymphatic filariasis, and then later on diversified to include soil-transmitted helminths, schistosomiasis, and other intestinal helminths.
The objectives of the study group actually revolved around doing meaningful research as part of the health research agenda of the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Health, and of course using these research findings to influence policy planning. Our work revolves around diagnosis, treatment, control, and prevention. We are pleased that we are able now to collaborate with other sectors. We are actually not just working with the health sector. Our work in the study group has given us an opportunity to work even with the students, bringing control programs, education, at the school setting, targeting school children who are most vulnerable for some of these chronic future plans on how to take the study forward. There's going to be a need for us to collaborate with other agencies, other institutes, like the Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology of the UP National Institutes of Health, to be able to develop and test more advanced diagnostics. There's going to be a continuing need to train young people. There is always a need to tap young, promising individuals to join in and to help us in the research work. Providing opportunities for these young people to grow in this field and eventually to take over some of the things. We don't expect to be able to control these neglected diseases in the next few years. And therefore, capacity building along these times with neglected tropical disease control and prevention will continue to be relevant.
I sincerely hope that this award, through its past and current winners, inspire other researchers to do the same in doing more research work, more relevant research work that will benefit Filipinos and improve the quality of life of everyone.
Congratulations to our Aurora awardee for 2014, University of the Philippines, Manila.
Before we close our program, let's savor another presentation from the representatives from Southwestern University.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Southwestern University Cultural Presentation.
Upit senyor kitang tanan, upit senyor. Welcome to Cebu, welcome to our hearts. Walk along our streets and you'll find history. Greet us at Cebuano and we'll break into song. Smile at us at Cebuano and dance all night long. Welcome to Cebu, welcome to our hearts.
Panahon ang kapugilang padayon. Mako'y namugna sa katauhan ng sarok, ilang tungganan. Utong batak sa konsolasyon, ang sarok na may iyon. Kitang tanan atong sa ulugon. Sarok, panapag sa panginabuhi. Sarok, kulang may nakilig mabawi. Sarok panalikod sa ulan puti. Maoy kahayag gikan sa langit. Sarok, apat sa panginabuhi. Sarok, kulang may nakilig mabawi. Sarok panalikod sa ulan puti. Maoy kahayag gikan sa langit.
Arena, Mataresa, Mata! Hallelujah, Hallelujah, sa imong pagkapanaw kaya imayabong ka, isuklion na buhi ka, tatunan ka sa among kaluwasan, pagkatay bunta. Kabanhawan, kabanhawan, sa Galilea, si Kristo at punta. Kabanhawan, kabanhawan, kung ang katawan, nag-ibay na sadya. Kabanhawan, kabanhawan, sa aming Galilea, si Kristo isa. Kabanhawan, kabanhawan, ang aming Galilea, nag-ibay na sadya.
Hallelujah, Hallelujah, sa imo na pagtrabaho, Hallelujah, himayaon ka, Iso Kristo na buhi ka, natumanan ka sa among kaluwasan, pagadayon ka. Kabanhawan, kabanhawan, sa Galilea, si Kristo at punta. Kabanhawan, kabanhawan, buang katawan, nalipay o nasadya. Bakasi, 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 bakasi. Ako sa ulubong ng estataron, dahil kong pasalamat sa kasyang nagawad. Awit kong mag-ipay, ipasigal ko na, bakasi sa Cordoba. Sayang ka mo, maghudyatan kita, di pananong ang galipay nga na ang tumba. Atong isinggit sa tiwok kalibutan, bakasi sa Cordoba, mo'y among kinahan. Mga tunay kita sa maalindog na lungsod sa Dumayo. Karbo sa sopo, mauswago lumadanihon. Kayon ka mo, dali ka mo, tapang ka sa pagpalanggi. Hindi mako'y bilil mo, magkaraang panginabuhi. Manayaw kita, magsadya kita, tala ang mga sinanggi may maibog, ibog pagkikit-kit. Masyagit kita, sa tuon na maya, bit-bit ang mga sinanggi, atong ipalaro. Sinanggi, isayaw, sinanggi, isayaw, sinanggi, isayaw, sinanggiyaw, sinanggiyaw, sinanggiyaw. Sulong mantawe, magpadayon ka. 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 Mga mananalo, sulong mantawe, magpadayon ka. Sulong mantawe, magpadayon ka. Mantawe, mantawe, magpadayon ka. Sa ulong punta, mantawe, mantawe sa ulong punta. Mantawe mo ko sa atong kalipon, katubig kalindong kang gihatabon. Kita nagpadayon, mandawe hanon, galit magmalibayon ta. Kay tap na paami-ana, maglungan na awin ko na. Mantawe, magpadayon ka. Mantawe, magpadayon ka.
Mantawi sa Mantawi magpadayon ta. Sa ulugon ta Mantawi, Mantawi sa ulugon ta. Pasanga makanta ang atong patron, wala ang sinyo San Jose Dalaygon. Mandawi karon nagmalambog na, nabantog sa ni ang bibingka. Masayang kagakag umuban pa, kawagan mo mga ita.
Thank you very much, dancers from Southwestern University. What they have shown to us are the festivals of the municipalities of the Cebu province, and that was culminated by the internationally acclaimed Sinolog Festival of Cebu City. Well, this night has truly been a fruitful one with lots of insights on the role of science for risk reduction and the existence of programs that will help the country cope up with disasters before and after they strike. This has been your host, Daisy, and my partner,
Jet,
bidding each one of you good night and God bless us all.
have a safe trip back home. See you tomorrow.
Someone to hold me tight would be very nice. Someone to love me right, that would be very nice. Someone to understand each little dream in me. Someone to take my hand, to be a team with me.